Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and tonight my guest, Rene Mendonza, is a huge fan of mine, and he has been wonderful and extremely helpful in helping me to produce all of my COVID series, which is over 100 segments to date. Rene has supported me in setting up my Zoom and all of my editing, most of my editing, and just always been there whenever I have technical issues or I'm stuck. And I just decided, wait a minute, Rene has his own show and he's a huge success all on his own. Why hasn't he been on my show? So tonight, I welcome Rene to Conversations with Jennylyn to share my wonderful friend with you and all his successes. Rene, welcome.
Hi, Jennylyn. Thank you for having me on. It's weird being on the other side of the camera, being the guest. I'm usually the host, so it's weird to be. If I'm not behind the camera, like directing or camera operating, I'm usually in front, like hosting. So this is a reversal for me.
So I know, right? And it's weird too when someone is interviewing me. It just feels odd. I'm like, oh, so this is what it feels like for the guest.
Exactly, yeah.
But I wanted to invite you on my show because you are such an innovative person, and you teach yourself a lot of things, and most of what you taught yourself, you've shared with me, and so I'm smarter for it. But I want to tell everyone, so you went to film school in Los Angeles, right?
Ventura. It was in Ventura, California. It was called Brooks Institute of Photography. The main campus was in Santa Barbara, but they had a film and video journalism class, a campus. Sorry, not in Ventura, but it was close to LA. So we would go to LA to pick up equipment or do auditioning for getting actors. But yeah, it was right there. It was like a 30-minute drive, 40-minute drive to LA. But yeah, I went to film school at Brooks Institute, which unfortunately is no longer operating. They closed the door. They closed their doors back in 2016 because they sold it to a company who just couldn't manage it, and they just shut everything down. But it was a good school because what I liked about my school was that it was all hands-on, and every one of our instructors worked in the industry. They were directors who worked at Disney or made their own films, and they were still active in the industry. So it was good because like this is what the industry is like. And I've seen that some of my classmates at the time that I went to school with, one of them just directed a movie that came out. One of them is a famous, he's a music director. He's worked with big artists like Snoop Dogg and Justin Bieber was the last one I saw. But yeah, it's and their claim to fame was that one of the students worked with James Cameron doing special effects for Titanic. And so they showed us how the student built the Titanic falling apart, and that kind of as their big, this is what we do. And the cool thing about it too was that it was all. They had a working sound stages, working equipment. It was a good school. It was all hands-on, what I liked about it a lot.
So when are you going to become the big film producer? And I'm going to sit back and go, hey, he's my friend.
Slowly but surely. I think I showed you I made a short film back in last year before all COVID, because I just got laid off from PlayStation. So I wrote a short film out of frustration, out of my depression. I wrote that short script. And it was 3 minutes. The place I used it gave me 2 hours. I'm like, okay, usually it would take 6 hours, but 2 hours, okay. So we just shut it down, and we shot it on an iPhone. And me and the crew and the cast just like, this is what we're gonna do. So we shot everything within the 2 hours. Like, okay, we're done. Like right under the wire.
How long is it?
It's 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes long.
Okay, then you need to include it in this show.
Long day. Come on in.
you.
Can I get a glass of the black stuff and a water?
Coming right up.
Fuck that place.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I get another, please? And also a pack of smokes.
Sure thing.
Thank you. No. Fuck!
Anyone cook or?
Oh yeah, wings,
Just drinks.
steak, lobster.
Whiskey
Oh yeah,
soup.
oh
Whiskey
so
soup
good.
and lobster.
Oh yeah.
Excellent,
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
Good games. You have another one, sweetie?
Yes, please. One more.
All right.
Fuck it.
We have a runner! Another one?
Yes, please.
The waitresses are hot.
Which ones?
All of them.
Right on.
I just came in 20 years ago to use the bathroom.
Thanks.
Oh, fuck.
So Renee and I met at KMVT where I produced my show. So Renee, you want to tell my viewers what you did at KMVT?
So yeah, at KMBT. So I started. So it's weird because when I was in middle school, they took. I thought I wanted to be an actor. I thought I wanted stuff like that. But at Crittenden, the middle school I went to, the after school program took us to KMVT when it was on Rainstorf. I was 12 years old, and I'm like, oh, behind the scenes is a lot more fun than being in front of the camera. And so I'm like, okay, I want to go to school for this. And I started learning how to make little films or whatever with my parents got me when I was 14, they got me a little camera. Started making short film with my toys. And then I came back and then I remember that KMVT existed, so I started volunteering again. That's where I met you, Shelly Wolf, and Bobby Chastain, and they were kind of those two and you were a big influence. And I started I asked them to intern because I wanted to know how to do playback. I'm like, how does playback work? And that got my door into KMVT as the guy who was leaving, so I took his spot. And then I want to learn as much as I can about playback. And then I wanted to I was also volunteering while I was still working there, which was a good and bad thing because I was learning too. But at the same time, everyone was like, "Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me?" I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'll do it." But then I might have to put a limit at what I could say yes to. And then I met you through a show. What was it called? Suzanne Studio. It was 2012. That was 8 years ago. Can you believe that?
Wow. I can't believe it was that long ago.
It was 8 years ago. And so yeah, that's how we met. And so at KMVT, I was mostly playback and creating the schedules. Like I would come to get the shows, and my job was finding also, because it's public access and it's once a month. Most shows film once a month. was trying to find more content, and there is this software, this company called Telview, who would like all these public access stations would upload their shows. I'm okay, I would find this, and I would grab shows from there to program a channel to keep it at least more entertaining, more interesting. And then when Shelly left, Bobby got promoted to executive director. He promoted me to access facilitator / studio manager. And then I started producing sports, high school sports coverage, and local events like tree lighting and art and wine. Those two are KMBT's flagship titles, pretty much. But unfortunately, because of COVID-19, they haven't done it this year. But it's a lot of fun. It's very stressful, and but it's fun. But I'm Catholic too, so I'm used to stress.
That's funny. I'm Catholic. I'm used to stress. So Rene, apart from your job at KMBT, you have your own show.
Yeah, I have my own show. It's called Frack the Cannon, and that name was I was talking to Bobby about it, and he's the one that came up with the name. Actually, I'm like, well, I'm gonna see. He goes, use it. And Shelly kind of wanted me to, if I remember correctly, Shelly was the one, you should start doing your own show so that you can learn more. And because I was getting pushed more to be a public, not a public figure, but be more in contact with the audience and our members and talk in public. I had to teach also middle school workshops and teach the adult workshops too when Bobby became the executive director. And so this helped the show kind of helped me a little bit of to talk more in public, talk more more comfortably, more confident. If you watch the first episode, I'm touching my face all the time, and there's a lot of But as the show went on, we just, my friend and I, CJ, who I met in film school, we just got more comfortable with it, and now it's just kind of like us shooting the breeze and just like making fun and talking about stuff. And because of COVID, we've been doing at least a show once a week since I think March. Every now and then we'll have a break. I need a break. I'm editing too much. I need a break. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can relate. When I first started my first show and I watched it, I'm like, did I know there are more words in my vocabulary besides so? I kept saying so, and I was so nervous. So it's very common, I think, when you first start doing something like this, where people are going to be watching you. You want to be your best self, and that in itself is a lot of pressure. So when you just let it flow, it just becomes second nature, right?
I find that you become more comfortable with it. It's hard because the camera in your face, and so that's kind of what you need to forget it, or you need to talk it. You get used to being okay. This is my as Bobby would say, we're talking to TV world, TV land. So I got used to the fact of there's a camera right there. And I got used to pretending it wasn't there. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I do miss being in the studio. I do miss teaching the classes. It's because it would always reinforce it this and this. But yeah.
No, I miss being in the studio too. I can't wait until the COVID stuff calms down and we can go back to some form of normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
So Rene, you do so much on television. You have a show, so you host, produce, you edit.
Mm-hmm.
You're very good at graphics, and you can do a lot of different things that I cannot do. I'm a basic editor. What is your goal? What is your end goal?
My end goal, so my goal when I was in film school was to write and direct. It was to direct. My goal was to direct, but I found it that writing was a lot more fun. And producing is fun too, but challenging. Because it's just a lot of no's, a lot of obstacles. But it's to produce, write, and direct. My end goal is to write and direct. But I direct to protect my writing, if that makes any sense. I know what I want. I know how it's supposed to sound. If I give it to someone else, they might understand it, but they don't know what I'm going for. Two of my big influences. I don't know if you can see right here. Is Kevin Smith by one of his first movies. And he was one of the main reasons why I went to film school. And then when I was there, I learned too of this other guy he's a British filmmaker named Edgar Wright, and he also writes. He has his own style. And they're big influences on me. Just like what kind of movies I want to do and tell. But I guess I'm still learning my style. But again, so back to answer your question, my long-winded roundabout answer is writing and directing is kind of my end goal. Writing is a lot more fun, but yeah, getting paid to write, to direct my shows is kind of, and movies is what my end goal is.
Where can people find your, I mean, you can't just put your scripts out there because people will steal it. But how do you plan to get your writing out there so people can see what a great writer you are?
So there are screenplay competitions that I've been submitting to. I have 4 feature films. I wrote 4 feature films within a year and a half because I was in that. So my friend and I, CJ, like I mentioned, we were in just creative zone for those like 3 to 4 years, and we were just writing and writing and writing. We wrote a comic book. We wrote a couple comic books. We wrote like different screenplays, but because I started working at KMVT, I'm like, all right, I want to learn as much as I can about television production. Let's take a break from writing. He goes, yeah, too, because I'm tired. Like I'm emotionally drained. Because writing is emotionally draining, at least for me, because you have to be the main character, the antagonist, the side characters, and everyone has to have a reason or motivation of why they're doing these things. And so I was just tired, and so I have 4 scripts that I haven't touched in like 9 to 10 years almost, but they're there. So I'm trying to go back, and every now and then I come out with a short story, like the Black Stuff, which is a short, like that one I did when I got laid off. But I just started writing some scripts, and to your point about getting scripts stolen, something one of my film teachers said, a script writing teacher said, like, you can put it out there, people will steal it, but it won't have your voice, your technique. So he goes, there's no real, like, there is a danger, but they're not gonna get, and it's true. I found it that some people who try to write other styles or try to mimic a style, like you can tell they're mimicking. You can tell they're, for lack of a better term, a karaoke version of what the original writer intended.
Well, I am very impressed with what I've seen from your writing and your skit that you produced. I'm really hoping we can have it on this show so people can see what you're made of, Rene.
Yes.
And so if you're watching this show, Rene is looking to work for someone and to bring his fantastic skill set to your business. So tell anybody watching this, Rene, exactly what you want, what you're interested in doing now.
So right now, because it is hard, it's COVID. Like the easiest thing right now, I mean, the safest thing is editing right now from home. I'm pretty good at that. Like that's something that in film school they beat into us because they would give us, all right, this is your assignment. It's due next week, and so we'd have to film it and stuff like that. And then as time went on, it was like it's today's Tuesday. It's due on Thursday, so we had like a day and a half or maybe a week and a half to do it. So we were just like always constantly turning out. So I feel confident as an editor right now, because I have taken a break from writing. I'm a little bit rusty, so I'm trying to find. I'm just writing little short stories for me and being like, okay, telling my friends like, what do you guys think? That's what happened with the Black Stuff. I just wrote it as a little short story, like I just to get it out of my system, and I shared it to my friends. And my friends, like, I forgot who it was. I think CJ. I think it was CJ who said, "Dude, why don't you just shoot this?" I'm like, "You have access to a bar. Like, you go to that bar for the past." Look at me sound like a bar fight, but I've been going to that bar for the past 12 years. And so I'm like, can I use the bar? They're like, yeah, you got 2 hours. I'm like, okay, I can make it work in 2 hours. And so I had to, yeah. But editing right now is kind of what I'm looking for. I am learning because of COVID lockdown. I have been focusing more on learning After Effects and Photoshop because like I never really had the chance to practice that as much as I wanted to. But now I've been making myself some time to learn those, and it's not hard, but it's not easy either.
Well, you make everything look easy that you do. I know because you and I have worked so closely together for so many years, and I've watched you grow, and I'm so proud of the person you're growing into. I've watched how you've taken leaps and bounds, and he works very hard. So if someone is watching this show, I can guarantee you Rene is dependable, and he works very hard and is very committed to anything that he commits to. Rene, you are a young person growing up in this COVID crazy world, because I can't think of a better description for what is happening in the world right now.
Mhm.
What is that like for your generation? When I was your age, me and my friends went dancing. We went to the discos. We had a blast. What is it like for someone your age in this world now?
So I want you to go. I'm young-ish, kind of. I'm 34.
You're a
Um,
baby.
youngish. So yeah, I guess it was the same. I mean, me personally, with my friends when we were in college, we would just again same thing: go dancing, go meeting, go with friends, have a couple of drinks. We would go out, we would socialize. But again, right now with COVID-19 and the restrictions, when we were open up to eat inside, we were still keeping. It's weird because we would meet friends and we're like, oh hi, I'm so and so, I'm so and so. Like because of COVID, we can't invite you over. I understand completely, but I guess I don't know. There's those dating apps which I haven't used. I used maybe for a minute. I'm like, it's not working for me. It's not the same. But yeah, it's like
So even if you're on a dating app and you find a woman you like, you can't go to Starbucks. You can't go to the bar. What does that mean? How do you get to know this woman?
I don't know. You let me know because I right now again like I haven't been really focusing on. I've just been focusing right now on myself. To be honest, I'm very much like taking time for me, working on my own show, my scripts, my short stories.
But what
So yeah, I
about your
don't know.
friends? What about your young friends? Do you have any friends who are dating? What I'm trying to get at is what is it like for young people now to like get to know each other, what do you do when you're not working?
When I'm me personally,
Yes.
I watch cartoons. I watch Power Rangers. I watch movies. Because I need to decompress. But when we could, I would go to the bar and just have a couple of drinks, and then I have this uncanny ability being, hey, just talk. If I feel comfortable with someone, if I feel safe with someone, I could kind of start conversing and having a little conversation. But if I don't feel safe, I'm like, hey, what's up? Okay, like, and I say if I mean like there's just something about that person, that vibe that person gives that I'm like, okay, hi, that's it. Just here by myself, enjoying my drink and food. But yeah, I know some friends who do use it, a lot younger than me. I won't say their name, but they used to work at KMBT, and we'll leave it at that. But I guess he's had a lot more success than. But this person is a lot more confident, a lot more charming than I.
There's nobody more charming than you. What are you talking about? I know you really well. Don't tell yourself those foolish messages. They're not true, they're lies. So you want to produce and write, that's your goal right now. What will it take to get you there?
Right now I'm just like when I was still in film school, I was trying to get a writing agent. I wrote a Power Rangers spec script because I'm a huge Power Rangers fan. I don't know if you know that about me, but I'm a huge Power Rangers fan to this day. And I wrote a spec script about Power Rangers, and I sent it I tracked down the production company. Unfortunately, because at the time Disney owned the rights, Disney owned Power Rangers. Disney is very meticulous about having agents and following the system. So, and it was like, they're like, yeah, thank you for submitting script, but we can't, it's unsolicited. You don't have an agent. You can't take you. So right now I'm trying to like, again, so Kevin Smith and Edgar Wright and Robert Rodriguez is also a big influence to me, like Desperado and Mariachi, Spy Kids, The Faculty. Those are big movies, especially Mariachi. So I'm trying to go like, you know what? I'm trying to find my little, like he made this, the rumor is that the legend is that he made the movie for $7,000. So I'm like, okay. A lot of filmmakers are like, we need this much money. And he goes, no, you don't. And Kevin Smith, like, you don't need that much money. You just need to have something to say, something cool. And so that's why right now I'm just working on what I can do on a low budget. It's kind of what I'm like, I'm like, a lot of film, I just think I'm shooting it on my iPhone. I'm like, I shot my short film on an iPhone, my friend's iPhone. And I'm like, okay, I'm very happy with how it came out. It got a lot of positive responses. So I'm like, okay, I don't need all this fancy equipment. It's nice, but I don't need it. I think a lot of people feel that they need to have all this fancy equipment, all this. I'm like, you really don't. And then coming from public access, as you know, and nonprofits, like we have to milk every single penny that we have to try to match up what a network and commercial TV are doing. And I feel that at KMBT, it was pretty on the level, pretty similar, kind of like, this is what we can do with a minimum budget, Like I use this expression that I stole from X-Men. we try to hit light speed on a steam engine.
I like it. So if someone were to offer you, if someone came up to you and said, Rene, I'm going to give you 3 wishes and I guarantee they will come true.
Mm-hmm.
What 3 wishes will you make? What will your 3 wishes be?
Pay off my student loans, get our own house for me and my parents and sisters, which was also, and enough money just to travel. Like as much as I like making films, like I want to travel the world. Like I want to visit like Greece, Spain, South America, China, Japan, Paris. Like yeah, I want to travel that just because I want to learn about different cultures, and that's kind of where I find out that a lot of my ideas come from just like visiting, like looking at things, looking at cultures, looking at pictures from another perspective, from different countries, different worlds. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool.
I think that's so beautiful. You know what I love about you? You're always looking out for your family. It's such a unique quality to find in a person your age. Now, don't ever change that, Rene. And that's what will bring the success you're looking for to you, because you are not selfish. And I know that because even when you're at work and I have an issue, I text you and you respond right away. And we need more friends like you. Everyone needs a friend like you.
Thank you. You're too kind. You're too kind.
No, it's true. That's why I'm bringing you on my show, because I believe in who you are. And I'm hoping someone is watching this show and sees your value beside me and hires you. Because I'm not wealthy enough to hire you yet. But I'm going to get there. I know it. So, Rene, in today's world, student loans is something that most young Americans complain about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only country I've ever lived in where young people start their lives off in debt. Like where I grew up, education was free, medical care is free. And we are a third world country. It's always blown my mind that in America, the majority of the young children are starting, or young people are starting their lives off in debt. I'm going to ask you a question that I'm probably going to get knocked for, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
Do you feel that the years you spent in film school, racking up the bills you did, was worth it today?
Yes, I believe they are, because what I learned at film school, I don't think I could have learned anywhere else. I met my best friend there. I had experiences with this woman who I can never, like, I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. Unfortunately, we're not as close as we used to be, but like there are memories and experiences that I can't repeat again. And just like the experience of being in film school, I think yes, it is worth it. It was worth it. The only downside of it was that it has there's 2 things. Like it's the debt is, I thought yes, it's a little there's a hindrance. Yeah, I unfortunately, like most people my age, or people my age or younger, can't live on their own right now, because it just, especially here in Silicon Valley, it's crazy expensive. I remember it wasn't that expensive at all. And the other thing was a hindrance was when I graduated from 2 months before the writer's strike of in Hollywood. So that's something also that it's my fault that I spent too much time on student sets and not in the real like industry. A lot of my friends did go internships for the real in the real industry, in the real Hollywood. So I see them, I'm like, okay, cool. Like one of them was a co-producer on Batman vs Superman. One of them was a camera operator for I forgot what movie it was. It was a big Hollywood movie recently. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's really great. In hindsight being 2020, I wish I should have done that. My experience and my advice to future filmmakers is go out there and try to get as many Hollywood sets as you can. Because when you're young, it's easy. People are willing to teach you. But once you graduate, once you become a filmmaker or go into the real world, you're competition. So while you're still in school, intern as much as you can, do whatever you can. And something, again, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. Something he's always like saying, he goes like, in this short, infinite time, the definite time we have, it's crazy enough. As long as you don't hurt anyone, and everyone's in consent. Everyone does it in consent. Follow your whimsy, you know, just like go for that. And so it took me a minute to realize what he was saying, what it meant, like, or for me to finally get through my thick head. So yeah, so right now I'm okay, cool. It's time for me to do whatever I can. I'm like, and so with Weller and the KMVT, with Shelly and Bobby and everyone else there, I'm like, okay, I have these tools to my at my hands. Like Kevin Smith had access to a store, convenience store. Robert Rodriguez had access to a camera turned on the bus. I have access to a TV station. I have access to friends who were willing to help me out make this short film. So I'm like, okay, I feel I can I'm working on some other stuff because because of COVID, we're locked in. So I'm gonna try to do something here at home, and then I'm working on trying to shoot a feature film on an iPhone. Knock on wood. That we'll see how it turns out. Right now, I just gotta. The story's not quite there yet. I'm 1 or 2 drafts away from it being good, but once it's there, I think I'll start. I'll work on producing it and filming it.
We're almost out of time. What do you want to say to a young person, an age equivalent, or anyone watching this show who has a dream like yours? What do you want to say to them? Because you did go to film school, and I know you're great at what you do.
Thank
because you helped me, and I work with you, and I know your abilities. It's such a rat race. What do you want to say to all these people graduating from film school like yourself, but they just can't seem to land the right position? What is your advice to them?
Find whatever way you can to tell your story through like right now I'm using my iPhone. Like, you don't need fancy equipment. You don't need the latest Red. You don't need a Red camera. You need an ARRI. You don't need a Sony F7. Most people don't know that. Most people won't know what you're shooting on. Just grab it, tell your story as long as you can. And something I guess in film school they beat into us at Brooks was that story matters. So tell your story with whatever you have at hand. Like I said, like we shot everything on an iPhone. We recorded audio on an iPhone. I use your resources, whatever you have at hand. So KMVT, Bobby let me use the editing suite before I got Premiere on my computer. Whatever you can to tell your story, like whatever it is. If it's a podcast, use your microphone on your iPhone or your smartphone. I'm saying iPhone a lot. They should pay me, Apple. Whatever access you have access to, use those tools to your advantage to tell your story, whatever that is.
Rene, I am so grateful that you took time at the end of your long day to do this with me, because I really feel that you would be a real encouragement to young people who are lost, who are not sure what to do, who are not sure how to make this life happen for them. It's really challenging for young people because all of the resources and the other ways that people grow into adults have now been halted, and everybody is stuck behind bars, sort of. It feels like that.
Yeah.
And we don't know how long. We've already spent a year doing this, and now we are locked down again. We don't know how long this is going to continue.
Right.
And so it's really nice to have, to have someone like you who is so positive, full of innovation, and who finds ways to do the things you like to do. So even though COVID has sort of created a roadblock, it's not a roadblock for you because you are finding ways around it. And we had a conversation last week, and I thought, you know what? I need to share Rene with my viewers so that they can gather inspiration from what you're doing. Which is why I have conversations to share other people's inspiring stories to inspire those people who may be stuck or not sure what to do. So I'm very grateful to you, and I'm really hoping that someone will gather inspiration from you because you inspire me and I can be your mother. So there you go. Thank you so much, Rene.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. I am sure Rene is going to be one of your favorite guests. And I'm sure he has left something with you today that will strike a chord in you and hopefully inspire you to make a change for the better in your life. And I will see you next time with another fascinating guest. Thank you.